Daredevil is no more. After 3 critically lauded seasons of television, the first of Netflix's Marvel shows fell to the chopping block last Friday, sealing the fate of Jessica Jones and the Punisher, and proving, once and for all, that we actually aren't allowed good things, and that Matt Murdock really was too pure for this world. It's the nature of the beast, sadly, and while the reasons for Daredevil's cancellation are both myriad and frustrating, there may be a chance the Man Without Fear could return to the MCU in one way or another. It's a slim one, granted, but out of all the Marvel heroes once present on the streaming giant's platform, Matt Murdock was by far the most famous. There's just no way he's gone for good. The character's permanence was even acknowledged by Netflix after they announced the show wouldn't be returning for a 4th season, stating to Deadline that, although the series was now gone, quote, "the Daredevil character will live on in future projects of Marvel." These sentiments were later echoed by the House of Ideas itself, who bookended their own statement on the show's cancellation by saying that they too, quote, "were looking forward to more adventures with the Man Without Fear in the future." Although what form those adventures will take is currently anyone's guess. So yes, everything still very much sucks, but Daredevil fans should take solace in the fact that the door's still open for Matt, Karen, and Foggy to return in one way or another. So, to cope with the trauma of Daredevil's cancellation, I'm Ewan, you're all my hostage therapist for the next 10 minutes, and here are 6 ways Daredevil could return in the MCU. Number 6, a new season on Disney+. By far the most touted destination for Netflix's Marvel shows to head in the wake of their respective cancellations is Disney+, the Mouse House's upcoming streaming service that has, in an ironic twist of fate, proven to be the death knell for Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. However, Marvel fans shouldn't get their hopes up that these characters will simply pack their bags and join this other service. It could still happen, but out of all the possible destinations for Daredevil and his merry band of defenders, this one is the least likely. To begin with, there's the tonal mismatch. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and the rest of Marvel's Netflix shows were decidedly darker than the main MCU, and though the ending of Daredevil Season 3 certainly positioned the character in a happier context, it still wouldn't be enough to cut the cloth on the more family-oriented Disney+, particularly when the 3 preceding seasons of the show would still remain on Netflix. It's a shame, because in theory, Disney Plus should be where Daredevil ends up. However, due to its past ties with Netflix, its tone, and the fact Disney's Marvel shows will be helmed by Marvel Studios and not Marvel TV, don't expect the Man Without Fear to swap one service for this particular one. Number 5, a cameo in another Netflix series. Although Jessica Jones and Punisher are pretty much doomed to cancellation too, for all intents and purposes, they're still on the air. Both have 1 season left to give, and with that in mind, there's still a chance the Man Without Fear could appear in some capacity on either of those 2 shows. Out of the 2, however, the most likely show that Matt would appear in is The Punisher. The dynamic between the 2 crime fighters is one of the reasons why Daredevil Season 2 was such a hit. And though the follow-up to Punisher Season 1 has only recently finished filming, there's still a chance Marvel have been able to keep a cameo from Charlie Cox under wraps. Of course, fans will no doubt be equally enthused by the prospect of Cox reuniting with Kristen Ritter on Jessica Jones' final Season 2, owing to their partnership in The Defenders being one of the best elements of that crossover series. But with Marvel likely to be keen on closing the book on both her and Frank Castle, chances are they won't want Murdock to encroach on the leaving party, with Season 3 having already concluded his story in such a satisfying manner. Number 4, revived on another network. One possibility a lot of fans potentially haven't considered is that Daredevil does find renewal, just not at Disney. Lest we forget, the show is produced by Marvel Television and ABC Studios respectively, and though Netflix hold the rights to stream the first 3 seasons, there's nothing to stop the series from being revived elsewhere. Among the networks suggested for a Daredevil revival include FX, who currently air Legion, and Hulu, which currently hosts Marvel's Runaways. Freeform is also an option, and the network is even owned by ABC, with Cloak and Dagger the sole Marvel series to air on that channel. All options are semi-viable, and though Marvel fans can't expect any network to resurrect Daredevil right away, the prospect of the character returning on one of them isn't impossible. Improbable perhaps, but not impossible. Such a move wouldn't be without precedent either. We've already seen the likes of Constantine and Supergirl switch from NBC and CBS respectively to the CW, and with the MCU still able to boast a compelling televised contingent, Daredevil could easily slot in for a supporting role on a number of different shows hosted by different networks. Number 3, various spin-off media. One of the more likely, and let's face it, more disappointing options for Daredevil living on in future projects could just be that he'll feature in occasional MCU spin-offs. It's unlikely that either Marvel or Netflix were making reference to the character appearing in the actual Marvel universe of the comics, because that's a given anyway. But seeing as how we have seen the MCU branch off into various media before, it could be possible that this version of the character finds renewal elsewhere, likely in a game or a comic book. Such a continuation wouldn't provide much solace for fans of Daredevil. After all, the comics are there for those who want them, myself included, and what many people wanted to see most was the Man Without Fear interacting with other characters in the MCU. That could still happen in the comics, and really, it is a little bizarre that Marvel haven't pursued MCU-based books to a greater degree, but if it's not Charlie Cox doing the interacting, it just won't be the same. At this stage, any Daredevil is better than no Daredevil, and we have seen comics get used to wrap up TV shows before, like Smallville and Buffy, but out of all the ways Cox's Murdoch can continue, this is by far the most anticlimactic of the lot. I mean, just think of the possibilities you could have. Daredevil teaming up with Spidey to take down a brand new villain, or maybe even Kingpin himself, would be perfect. He could even get recruited by S.H.I.E.L.D. to fight alongside Black Widow. Or, if they wanted to be particularly extra, the films could even take inspiration from the most recent arc of Daredevil and make him the literal guardian of the Bifrost. Anything would be great, and with Cox evidently eager to continue playing the character, it would be such a wasted opportunity if Marvel weren't to recall his services. Number 2, a big screen cameo. Even though all 3 seasons of Daredevil were spectacular, there was one issue Marvel fans just couldn't seem to get over: the lack of any tangible connections to the MCU on the big screen. Of course, the show itself couldn't really do much about this. Relations between Marvel Studios and Marvel TV have been fractious for a while now, and though the TV series did occasionally make reference to the MCU, whether by calling back to the Battle of New York or to Ultron's Sokovian catastrophe, meaningful connections were nowhere to be found, either on the small screen or on the big. Which is why it's so fitting that, if Daredevil is to continue, his destiny should lie on the big screen. Fans have been calling for the character to star opposite the Avengers for years now, with actors Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio speaking fondly of their desire to see Daredevil join up with Black Widow and Kingpin to face off with Spider-Man, respectively. And really, this is where the Man Without Fear and his supporting cast belong. No one's denying the magic his TV show conjured, but if this truly is the end for the character on the small screen, then Marvel must surely realize just how strong a following the hero has and bring him onto the MCU in one way or another. Number 1, a solo movie. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. It happened before, and it can happen again, this time with a 100% decrease in playground fights, watery coffin beds, and evanescence. Or maybe more evanescence, depending on which way you're inclined. Daredevil is a top-tier Marvel hero and is more than deserving of a chance on the big screen, and though the characters currently fall under the remit of Marvel TV, when signing on for the part, Charlie Cox's contract did state that he could appear in the films in one way or another. Yes, it's true that not everyone who's watched the MCU's films will have watched Netflix's Marvel shows, but reintroducing the character wouldn't be all that difficult, particularly when the TV show established a new precedent in its concluding chapter and laid the groundwork for a whole new kind of Daredevil adventure. Yes, certain threads would have to be abandoned for the sake of making a Daredevil film more of a standalone feature, but the character would be free to make the big screen his own, complete with the prospect of linking up with other famous Marvel characters like Spider-Man and Black Widow. Of course, there is also a chance that nothing happens and Daredevil just stops. An incredible shame though that would be, Season 3 provided the perfect conclusion to his story, with Matt, Karen, and Foggy ready and raring to go back into business and do what they do best: help the people of Hell's Kitchen. Sure, it might not be the conclusion most have sought after, especially with there being so much potential still there, but out of all the endings we could have gotten, great credit must be given to Eric Olson and Daredevil's writers for making this one so uplifting. And, well, there you have it. Those are but some of the ways Daredevil could return to the MCU, and I feel a whole lot better, actually. Please do let us know what you think of the show's cancellation down in the comments below, and please be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Last of all, be sure to head back over to whatculture.com/TV for more of this sort of thing every day. You can follow my mural to Daredevil on Twitter @EwanRunesThings, and I shall see you next time. Bye!